G'day guys and girls, and welcome back to another bit of content, but it is our first bit of bonus content for 2022, and you'd otherwise get this through our Patreon program. So make sure to sign up if you haven't, or if you do enjoy this content, because it will be only available through our Patreon, and you can sign up through www.patreon.com/SuperCoachEdge. And today's bonus episode, we're going to be chatting about, I guess, the prospect of using trade boosts, the merit in using them this round on the eve of price changes. Then we'll be chatting about the trending trades that have been, trending since, lockout has opened. And then we'll be chatting about one of the big talking points that we've both noticed over social media, and it is the prospect of trading out Max Gawn. Is there merit to it? Who can you trade him to? And what will the cash afford you to do? Like, will it help you strengthen other parts of your side? All that and more. But let's get into the very first part, which is the trade boosts. And we mentioned it in the main episode. And we are both using our extra trade boost. And I'm quite not unhappy, but I was a little bit deflated, Liam. When I pressed the little boost button, little rocket, I was expecting to see 2 extra trades behind that, but it was only the one, because I was hoping to have 4 trades up my sleeve, 2 in hand, and then have an extra 2 through the boost. Wasn't to be, but because for me, I just feel as though I need to, at minimum, use 4 trades for the guys that I want to get in, and we spoke of them in the normal episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, in terms of using trade boosts and when you should be using them over the course of the season, for me, I've always identified, and I think we both have, and we spoke of in the preseason episodes, using the trade boost 100% on the eve of the price changes, because it's almost like a bit of a cheat, like it's a bit of a cheat code.
Yeah.
Like, other people might not be using it, so you can use it to your advantage and get really a bit of a leg up or an advantage over the rest of the competition. So I think there's merit in using it. I mean, you're able to use the trade boosts 5 times over the course of 23 weeks. So, I mean, as long as you don't go silly with them, you need to use them strategically. And I think for me, the strategy here is to make the most of, making those changes before price changes.
Yeah.
So it speaks for itself for me anyway. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this week's perfect. I think it means that you didn't have to trade last week. Like, normally if you wanted to make those 3 sort of corrective trades, you'd have to trade one last week off 1 week of form. And that's a big, big risk. Yeah. I feel a lot more comfortable having not had to trade last week into round 2, and then now having the option to sort of make those 3 trades. I definitely think don't go crazy. Don't use them all in the next 5 weeks. But one this week is perfect. One in the next couple would even be fine. I think you just want to make sure you've got them up your sleeve just in case there's some COVID carnage, which we've seen with the West Coast Eagles. But I think it'll be fine in the long run. Yeah,
for sure. And I think you make a very good point there as well. I actually haven't thought ahead to next week, but I know that there are a few viewers viewers and listeners that sent in questions regarding, and there was the one that we addressed in the full episode, where someone had the dilemma between jumping on Hewitt or Cripps.
Yeah,
and I think and I mentioned in my answer that you could go for one this week and one the next week, and if you don't have the cash, you could potentially use that trade boost to trade someone out, down trade, like, a McGovern to a Brody or to Cherry, sort of along that line of a trade, to get the extra cash to then, trade someone up to a Cripps or whatever. But yeah, that's a very, very good point to make, I think.
And potentially it's even using the 3 trades this week to make, there's a lot of trades to be doing, but use 3 trades this week to get some cash in the bank, and then maybe being able to double upgrade next week. I don't know how you do it cash wise. You'd have to be rolling in it already, I'd say, but it's sort of something to be considering for the long term later in the season as well, is that you can potentially be doing 3 down trades 1 week so that you've got the cash to do it, 2 upgrades next.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, I think that pretty much covers off in terms of succinctly enough anyway, in terms of what we're looking to do with the trade boost. And if anyone wanted sort of any clarification, which I think there was a couple of people sent in questions, hopefully that answers that question for you guys and girls. But let's move on to the next discussion point, and it is the trending trades of the round. And at the moment, Liam, we're going to go through these with a bit of a response to each one with a bit of a brief explanation.
Yeah.
So let's kick it off with the trade outs. And top of the list at the moment is Lockie Whitfield. And we're at, as we record this, 12.7% of people, or 15,489 people, have traded him out. So a lot of people have lost their shit with at Whitfield, and rightfully so.
I'm with them 100%. I'm not currently one of them, though. I've not done the trade yet.
Not yet. You'll be added.
So it will be 15,146 very soon.
As we know, you've already sharpened your knife, but I think you've sharpened like a set of knives, so you could like just slice him multiple times.
Claws ready to cut the street.
See you later. Alrighty, so that pretty much explains what you're doing, Liam, or whether or not you're no or nah. Yeah. So
what about you, Damon?
For me, I mentioned in the episode as well, I'm very much on the fence. I'm getting a little sore ass sitting on the fence here with a lot of these calls. But for me, I'm on the fence, but I'm leaning more towards the fact that in my current situation, I don't have the cash to upgrade Whitfield. I don't see merit in really downgrading him unless you don't have someone like a Hewitt, who I can see merit in downgrading to. But I already have Hewitt, and there's no one else really below Whitfield that I can justify. I mean, Doherty, potentially, maybe.
Doherty's above.
Oh, he's above. Oh,
yeah, he's about 30K more expensive. So it really is, to be honest, Whitfield is like your lowest primo.
Really. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't see merit in downgrading him to a Bowie or Bowie, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, it's a big risk.
Because, I mean, he had a good game in the weekend, and he is filling the spot of Salem, who's out for a little extended while. But yes, he may get job opportunity and job security, but there's no real, I guess, historical data to say that he's going to be scoring like he did on the weekend on a consistent basis. So for me, that's a massive risk. And already when you factor in, I mean, taking my team as an example, I've already got two rookies playing in my defense. I have Hinge and I have McCartan. And then I've also got on the bench DeConning. So, I mean, it doesn't fill me with confidence if I'm bringing in a third rookie on field because, I mean, yeah, he may score well, but as we know with the rookies, you can't expect them to score on a consistent basis so well. So for me, I'm sticking by Whitfield, and hopefully he can turn around his form and get over his niggle if he's battling any.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, we might skip over the next one, which is Maxi Gawn. We've got a bit more of a discussion about him a bit later, so we won't delve into him too much. What about Dustin Martin, Damon? Yeah, nah, yeah.
Dustin Martin.
He's in a surprising number of teams. Yeah, it's been traded out of 6.7% of teams, which equates to 7,950.
Wow. I'm really surprised that a lot of teams started with him. I don't know if they were going on him off the back of the hype of, that he tears Carlton to shreds every year, but not this year, mate. Not this year.
Hey.
But yeah, if you have Dusty, get rid of him. I mean, it sort of speaks for itself. Unfortunately, he's battling with a few issues off field at the moment, which we won't delve into. But we don't know because of that, the timeline on his return. I mean, kudos to him for making the return that he has. I mean, unfortunately, he lost his father over the off-season. And late last year, he actually copped a bit of a massive injury with a kidney injury. So to make the return that he did, full credit to him. But I think it was a big expectation by those coaches that actually jumped on him for him to start on fire. So if you do have him, I can see justification in getting rid of him, getting rid of him and not holding on to him.
Yep, I agree entirely there. I just think it's going to be hard if he's out for sort of an extended period and with personal reasons for, stepping away from the game for a period of time. You don't know how long that's going to be. So I think it's fully justified. It's not like an injury where you kind of might get a, prognosis of a timeline. So fully understand that trade out, and I would be making that myself. What about Mitch McGovern, Damon? Yeah, nah, yeah.
Now, just I just did it then. But just to clarify as well, the yeah, nah is a no trade, and the nah, yeah is a yes trade. So it's the last word there that gives it away as to what we're doing. So for me, I'm going to nah, yeah. So that's definitely a yes for me.
Yeah.
As we spoke of in the full episode, speaks for itself. Unfortunately, I'd probably like to keep hold of him because I do have faith that he will turn it around at some stage. And I think it probably does come down to, I guess, the team that Carlton's playing on a given week, and how he really matches up against the opposing forward line. He really matched up quite well against Richmond with his interceptive marking, but against the Dogs, not so much, and he was made to play up the ground. So for me, it is a nah, yeah. What about you, Liam?
Yeah, I'm the same. Nah, yeah, for me. His break even of 40 is just sort of too high for me. I think it's too big a risk. I'd be shifting him along for someone like a Cherry, who we've sort of discussed in detail.
Easy. And I'll throw this one to you first off, Liam. And it's a big one. Jack Steele.
Yeah, nah, no trade. Seriously.
Straight off the bat.
Why? I just don't understand why.
Does not make any sense at all.
He's
short term, sure, but long term, nah.
Exactly. I don't understand, to be honest. So just don't do it. Keep him on your side, please.
I think people are just getting really hung up on the fact, and you've really got to break yourself out of this mindset where you're looking at premium, and like he's an Uber premium. He's not just a premium. He's an out and out Uber premium. And they're looking at the fact that he's projected to drop in price 44.7K. But did you actually select, and this is a question to everyone listening and watching, but did you actually select Steele to ride his fluctuation in price? No, you didn't get him in as a cash cow. You didn't get him in for anything other than scoring and points on field. And yes, I know he's only scoring or averaging a 99 at the moment, but he scored, shit game, first game, 87. So did Crisp, first game, bounced back with a 121. Steele bounced back with a 111. Sure, it wasn't a 120 plus like he normally averages, but I mean, you've got to remember as well, with Steele, as we've harped on about ad nauseum, he's got that really high, really high floor. And the high floor comes from the fact that on the weekend, he had 13 tackles. 13 tackles. And the week prior, he had 7 tackles. So, I mean, he's actually one that a big part of his game as well is kicking goals. So silly to get rid of someone with such a high floor and a high ceiling as well. So if he's able to average, 100, 110 for the rest of the year, he's still going to be, well placed to actually finish in your top 8 mids.
Yeah.
So
and just want to add a little bit of analysis to this. Looking at his average of rounds, last 2020, he averaged 118 for rounds 1 to 8, 122.9 for rounds 9 to 16, and then 136 for rounds 17 to 23. And he's done that consistently for the last, 2020 and 2021. So 2021, he started slow, 113.3 average for the first 8 rounds. The next 8 rounds, 131.6. And then the last 8 rounds, 135. So he seems to also just sort of have a bit of a slow start consistently in the last couple of years. So I don't think there's any too much cause for concern. I think he's just warming up.
Yeah, so you're totally right though as well, because looking at even the first 2 rounds of last year, it mirrors this year, where last year he scored 91 in the first round, and then he came out and scored a 123, 12 points more than what he did, on the weekend. So, I mean, a lot of people I would like to see as well, but we don't have access to it, but to see the amount of people last year, the same time last year, that jumped off him, that would have actually traded him back in. I can imagine a lot of people would have traded him back in. So you're not actually getting him for the price rise. So the fact that he's going to be dropping that amount of money, who cares? As long as he keeps scoring well enough on an average, that's more than a 2-week span, you're fine. Don't worry. Like, a lot of people are stressing out about it, and they're seeing the fact that, I can cash him in and then put the money towards upgrading a Berry to a Crisp, or a Horn Francis to a Cripps. Sorry, I'm getting these two muddled up. To a Cripps. And yeah, it's just to me, in my eyes, it's really short-sighted, unfortunately. Yeah. And as you broke it down there in terms of his averages over each third of the season, shows how short-sighted it can be. So you got to look at the long-term side of things and play the long game.
And the thing is, you're potentially trading him out now and having to get him back at a similar price, or find another way of getting him back, even at potentially a higher price, which is another risk. All right, Damon, what about Jared Berry?
Yeah, Berry, I think, we covered it in the full episode. And unfortunately, because of that injury worry with his shoulder and the fact that it is his previously injured shoulder, doesn't bode well in my eyes for his long-term durability and longevity to be able to produce high scores. So unfortunately, you might see him, and like we did in the first, round one, he was actually managed in the third quarter off the back of that injury, and then he was kind of switched in terms of his roles. And then on the weekend, playing as a tagger as well, which I didn't really like, put a real cap on his ceiling and scoring ability. So for me, unfortunately, even though he was the hottest prospect in the preseason, I'm going to have to move him on for another hot prospect in a Caldwell or a Brody. What about yourself? What are you going to do?
Likewise, moving him on most likely for a Caldwell at this stage.
Very nice. Very, very nice. So moving on to a rookie, a high-priced rookie who we spoke of in the normal episode, and it is Josh Ward. What do you think, Liam? I haven't actually got him, so I'll throw this one to you.
Yeah, I do have him. I'll probably be keeping him. I think he's going to get games. He's got sort of that job security. I don't see him being moved out of the team, dropped or anything. Yep. So I think he's just going to be a warm body on my bench, which is nice. So I'll most likely be keeping him. So I think, but I equally, I can see why people are trading him out. So I don't think he's not one that I would really pass judgment on, whichever way you decide to go.
Yeah, I think it probably comes down to whether or not you can afford to spare a trade, because there are other avenues where, like in our situations, where we're looking for a fourth trade. And even then, if I had Ward, if I was in the same position as you, I probably wouldn't trade him either, because of that job security. He's one of the few rookies outside of Horne-Francis and Dacos that has really solid job security. Probably Stevens as well from the Swans. But it's one of those things where if you can afford to keep him, I would do it, because I can't really think of any other bottom price rookies that you wouldn't have that you could trade him down to really cash in on the 80K that, if you're trading him, or 70K, if you're trading him down to a 117K odd rookie. Yeah. But,
and I think he has got the scoring potential. We've seen it in the preseason. He scored over 100 points. So I think it is potentially there. And all he needs is that to happen, once or twice, and that'll just spark his cash gen right up there as well, exactly. Which would be nice. Now, moving on to the next option, it's Cam Rainer. Damon, I mean, he's being traded out of 2.7% of teams, and that's 3,230 people.
I didn't even know he was in that many teams.
No. Break even of 65.
Yeah. He's only scored
averaging 49.
Oh. Yeah, he's only scored 50 and 48, and he's just not getting the opportunity, which I thought he wouldn't in the midfield for the Lions just yet. That was a big query over him, and the fact that it isn't happening doesn't bode well for the short-term prospects and long-term for him. But I think it may be, just speaking of Berry, if Berry does unfortunately go down with injury or he gets moved around, potentially there's opportunity for the likes of a Rainer to actually go into the engine room for the Lions. But I think it's too much of a risk at that price. He should be performing better, should be generating more higher scores for you. And his break-even's already 65 at that price. So cash him in. Cash him in for Jerry if you don't have him, or a Brody even, along sort of the lines of those sort of players. And, go down that route. What do you reckon, Liam?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think just boot him out of your side. Yep. If you've got him. His break-even's above his average at this early stage. It's going to not get better, I don't think, for you in the short run especially. Moving on, we've got Kane Baldwin. Damon?
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I'll return serve. Return ace to you, Liam, because he is your man. He plays for the Dons, so you've probably got a bit more of an insight than me in terms of his sort of prospects at senior level. What are your thoughts?
I'm personally in the hold category, so no trade. So nah. But equally, I think you can be someone to trade out if you're if you missed out on like a Martin or who else would there be? Hayes or Dixon, someone like that, I had no issue with you trading down to him. Or if you managed to upgrade him to someone like a Cherry, more than that'd be a good trade. But I do think he'll come back in the side. I think he was unfairly dropped, to be perfectly honest. I think we sort of dropped probably for Stringer and Francis, who came into the side. I think with Merritt going down, there's an opportunity in the midfield that might mean that we need to move her forward into the midfield, which might give Baldwin an opportunity to come back in. But he kicked 3 goals on the weekend in the VFL side, so I think won't be far off. I think he'll definitely play again in the next little while in the seniors.
And one guy who we didn't mention in the main podcast, so he's an exclusive inside
here.
Exclusive. But you'll be able to fill me in on this as well. But Nick Cox, he actually went down with a bit of an injury, I hear, with a bit of a knee niggle of sorts. And I know he's been probably playing more along the wing, but is there potential there because another big man for the Dons has gone down? Is there potential off the back of that even for Baldwin to come in?
I think Nick Cox will be a straight swap for Nick Martin. Nick Cox is really just playing along the wing as that tall winger, to be perfectly honest. So I don't think there's going to be much opportunity for a Baldwin to come in from there. But that being said, I don't know how they're going to set the team up, to be honest. Interesting though, in that sense, because you might see, say, Baldwin come in and Nick Martin come in because they've just restructured the team with Caldwell moving into the middle or Stringer getting more of a share in the middle. But also Shields got to come back into the side. So it's sort of tough one to weigh up, I guess.
Very nice. Thank you for the insight there, Liam. I'll keep that under my hat that I'm not wearing. Moving on to the next guy, and I'm surprised again a lot of people are trading this guy out, and it is Tom Mitchell, who is the fantasy pig, as he's otherwise known. I'll throw this one to you first off, Liam. It's a bit of a surprise to me. I'm
not against it. I'm probably in the camp, so I'm happy for him to be traded. Going to be a bit controversial. Break even of 211.
Wow.
At an average score of 81, I think it's okay to trade him out. I haven't seen any Hawks games, so I can't comment on his role.
Neither have I.
So I don't want to sort of talk too much about it. But so I'm trying to see if I can get any stats quickly.
Well, whilst you're having a look at that, the thing with, I know he obviously isn't performing like he has as the Tommy Mitchell of old, but I don't know, just looking at the stats on the weekend, his disposal efficiency was only 57%. So that obviously put a dent in his SuperCoach score. He still had 28 disposals, 11 contested possessions, 576 meters gained, which is the 4th most for the Hawks. So he's still getting the ball. And he's still obviously, making a bit of territory for the Hawks. But I don't know. I'm kind of torn with this because it's on the one hand, you say don't trade Steele and then trade Mitchell. But I think they're in different ballparks, in all honesty. I think Mitchell doesn't have that massive floor like Steele does. And as we know, Mitchell probably needs 35 plus in order to break the ton most weeks. And the fact that he hasn't even generated over 30 possessions so far probably speaks to that, having only scored 80 and 82 over the past 2 weeks. So I think in this case, I'm kind of 50-50. I think, yes, there's merit in doing it. If you want to trade down to Cripps, in this case, I think you could potentially do it. If Mitchell drops off.
Do it.
You reckon
100% for it, yeah.
You do it?
I'd do it. If I had Tom Mitchell on my side and he was performing the way he is in the past 2 games, I would be happy to trade him down to a Cripps.
And just looking at his prospects in terms of
just trying to be a bit controversial here.
I know. I'm not biting because you're sort of channeling what you were saying last week with Cripps's vice captaincy score. It's like, do it. Just do it. Just do it. And it came off for you.
Well, it didn't come off for me because I don't have Crips, but
just looking at the I guess the projections forward for Tom Mitchell. So if he scores 109 on the weekend, he's going to drop in price 45.6k. And then in round 4 against the Saints, and I highly doubt that he'll actually go as bad as what they've projected here. But they've said if he's projected for a 95, he'll drop a further 24.3k, which will have him sitting at, 568.2 in price. And over that time, in comparison, if you were to sort of compare the pair, which we will be bringing back during the year, don't you worry, compare the pair with Cripps, and Cripps is projected to go up 63k on the weekend. And then if he scores 128, which isn't outside the realms of possibility against the Suns in round 4, he's projected to go up again in that week, 47.4k, to have him sitting at 565. So 565. So I'm just quickly flicking back and forth between these two windows here. 565. Cripps will be $3,000 less in value than Tom Mitchell.
Okay, so you do have the ability to wait, I guess. He does have a good average against Carlton.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, like, if you trade out Mitchell now, Cripps is going to be the same price virtually as Mitchell in round 4. So it means that if you trade Mitchell down to Cripps now, which is 638 down to what's Cripps?
Sorry, yep.
638 to Cripps, who's 454. What's that? 180 odd K you'll make in that downgrade to Cripps alone, and then come round 4, Cripps is going to be the same price as Mitchell, and you've made 180 odd in that time. And they say that the price of a trade is around about 150K.
So basically, you're just agreeing with me now.
I've talked myself into it with the use of data.
No,
I love my data and numbers.
You've got to use the gut feel of Liam and the crystal ball.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
The only thing I'm going to throw a nice little spanner in the works is Tom Mitchell's best average against a team is against Carlton, who he faces this week. He averages 133.6 over his career, with a high score and the highest score is scored of 192.
What's the lowest?
The lowest is an 81.
Oh, that can happen again.
Could happen again.
Go ahead.
In fairness, when he scored that 81, it was in his first year at Sydney. Since then, he's scored 142, 164, 192, 161, and 133.
What's that?
So
numbers.
I don't know. Now I'm talking myself out of it.
Has he faced a midfield consisting of the one Paddy Cripps, the one Messiah Sammy Walsh, the one I don't know what to call him, Lieutenant in Chera, and the absolute bull in Kennedy and Hewitt, who's the absolute footwork master? No, he hasn't. No,
so he has not.
This is a changing of the guard.
Uncharted territory, but
exactly.
I've talked myself out of it now.
Well, I've talked myself. I'm on the other side of I'm where you were.
I actually personally, I'd be happy. I don't see that big an issue with trading out Tom Mitchell to a Cripps. I think it's an okay trade.
Very good. I like it. Good debate. That was probably the best yet. The best yet. So let's move on. It was the last one of the traded outs. Let's go across the other column, which is the traded ins.
Ooh.
And topping that list is the man we just spoke of trading down to, and it is Paddy Cripps. So I think that pretty much speaks for itself. I think it probably depends upon your team structure, your situation, who you're trading down to Cripps, who you're upgrading to Cripps. So I think it will vary from team to team. If I had the money, I would definitely do it. I know I've been staunchly against it because he's burnt me in the past, but this is a different cripper we're talking about here. This is a guy who, like in 2018, I think it was, finished in the top 8 mids come the end of the season of that year. And I can't remember a time where he's been as fit as he has. He's kicking goals as well. He's added another string to his bow, which has been a major deficiency in his game. His ability to convert, especially set shots. And he's now doing that and kicking, more than one goal every game at the moment. So if it were me, I had the ability to do it, I would do it. Lock and load.
Depends for me who you're trading him down from, or who you're trading to him to. Sorry, who you're trading to him.
Yeah, like what I said. Yeah, who you trading?
Who depends
trading
on who
to.
that is. If you're going a steal to him, that's a bad choice.
No,
if you're having
bad.
to trade Whitfield to Bowie to get someone up to Cripps, bad idea.
That's bad.
Thank you.
The yogurt also contains potassium benzoate. That's bad. That's all I'm thinking of now. I'm waiting to say that's good. Give me a good one.
Tom Mitchell to Patrick Cripps.
That's good. That also comes as free yogurt.
That one I would do, but it just depends. I think I am all for trading him in, but just don't screw up your structure just to get him in.
Yep. And if you trade in Cripper this week, it comes with free Froggett.
On Damon.
But the Froggett is horribly cursed. That's good. No, that's bad. Okay, let's move on to
Georgie Hewitt. Georgie boy.
Hello, Georgie boy. For those of you who haven't watched our episodes yet, tune in. What are you doing? But if you're
watching this episode first,
exactly. What are you doing? That's just a reference to Georgie boy from It. If you haven't seen It, go watch it. Hilarious. Not hilarious. It's
watch
not
us
hilarious at all. It's not hilarious at all. It's actually one of the scariest films of all. What am I talking about?
Watch our other episode first, and then go watch It.
Exactly.
Then prioritize.
Yeah, or watch them side by side, and then hear me mime It with Georgie boy saying,
if you start It at 5 minutes before the SuperCoach Edge episode, you'll get to hear them at the exact same time.
Oh, that's a good idea. Imagine that. I should find out the numbers for that and then cut a video to it. It'd be amazing. And then I'll be saying it, I'll be like miming it, or it will be miming me. Anyway, let's move on. So Georgie Hewitt. Georgie boy. So what about his prospects? For me, he is. Oh, you want to go first?
Bring him in. Get him in. Lockie Whitfield. Lockie Whitfield out. Get Georgie Hewitt in.
Yep. Get him in. I think at any expense. Don't be worried about like team structures and stuff. Throw it out the window. Majority of the competition are going to have him after this week anyway, so the risk is negated.
Don't throw out your team structures. Trade out Max Gawn for George Hewitt.
If only he had a DPP swing to defense. Damn it. Anyway, that speaks for itself.
Think bring him in.
Yep. Okay, let's move on to, is a contentious one for us. It's a guy that we haven't called him this before, but it's just popped into my really wacky and weird mind, as you know full well, Liam. I'm going to call him the paper boy.
Oh, yes.
Paper boy, not because he delivers papers, but because he's made of paper.
Yes.
He just can get injured at any time.
Tissue paper, in fact.
Tissue, exactly. Just in the wet.
The weakest type of paper.
Oh.
No, sorry, not the weakest. That was a bit harsh. I just mean
the weakest link.
The most injury-prone paper.
Yes, exactly. One that you can really punch a hole through violently. Yeah. Is that what you're saying, Liam?
Pretty much. Just Will Smith slap him in the face.
Oh, you do not talk about my Isaac Heaney like that.
No, Isaac Heaney. I don't know. It's a trade that I don't like because I can't trade in Isaac Heaney. It's just physically impossible.
Well, and you're saying that you would if you could?
No, I wouldn't do it.
No, exactly.
It physically would hurt me to bring him in.
There was a point last year when I remember when he dropped in price like massively, and a lot of people were jumping on him. We're like, yeah. And then he had like really like spurts of awesome games like he has had in the first couple of weeks of 2022, and then he fell away. Got injured, and it happens. It's like what do they say? It's like, death and taxes. Death, taxes, and Heaney.
Getting injured.
He's bound to get injured. So, unfortunately, no, I wouldn't be training him in. I can see merit in doing so, though. A lot of people are jumping on him. So,
my view of Heaney is always have a trade up your sleeve. If you trade him in, you've got to have another trade to trade him back out.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to budget for that. Budget.
There's probably enough trades this year. I mean, we've got some extra trades, but even so, I'm not.
I just don't want people to worry. I don't want people to think, oh, we've got 5 extra trades and it's back to normal. It's still COVID. COVID's still going to cause issues. So I think that's where you got to make sure you keep in mind those extra 5 trades might need to go towards.
Yep. Yeah, spot on. All right, let's move on to another, I guess, hot rookie or a lukewarm rookie.
Hot rookie.
About, but he's hot. He's hot in terms of his scoring. Jake Bowie or David Bowie, he's been scoring really, really well. And I guess the one thing that he can hang his hat on is the fact that he's pretty much taken the spot of Salem, who's out for a little while. So at least his job security is assured in the short term. And if he scores like he did on the weekend, he's going to find his place in the side in the best 22 consistently from week to week, I think. Goes without saying. But I think that already helps there that he's sort of warming that seat for Salem. But I reckon you'll keep that seat he's got. But yeah, for me, I think because, as you know, with rookies, their scoring can just fluctuate so wildly. And I think you'll find that with Bowie as well.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I am not in the camp of going for him or trading him in this case. So it's nah.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. I think it's a big risk with him and the way he's going to score. I don't think it's going to be consistent as you might want. Let's move on. Tristan Cherry. Damon, thoughts?
Mr. Cherry.
The cherry on top.
He will be the cherry on top of our teams once we trade him in. With Cherry, we covered him in the main podcast, but I think the fact that he's kind of the big banana, you want to call him, he's the number one man for the ruck at North Melbourne, which I didn't think was going to happen, but it has happened, and it's really good for his long-term prospects in the side. Big tick. One thing that I was worried about, and he's shown an ability to score and score quite well. He's probably producing the type of scores that people were hoping Bruce to score.
Yeah,
at a pretty much exactly the same.
Very, very similar price point.
So yeah, I mean, he's on the weekend. He had 24 hitouts, 20 disposals, 5 marks, 14 contested possessions. Mind you, that was the second most contested possessions for North Melbourne on the weekend. So for a ruckman to do that, massive, very, very massive. So at that price point, if you're in the same shoes as yourself, Liam, or me, easy trade down is a Gov to Cherry, bank 50 odd K, and then put it towards another trade. So that's a big yes for me. The biggest yes, I think, of the lot on this list.
Yeah, likewise for me. Big yeah. Bring him in. Bring him in.
A big. So the yeah is bigger than the nah.
Yeah, it's like a nah yeah.
Yeah, nah yeah. So yeah, it's good. Well, let's move on to another rookie ruck in this case, in Luke Jackson. Left field one. What do you reckon, Liam?
He's being traded in by 6.6% of teams, and about 7,790. That's what it equates to. It's a lot of teams. I think you've got to remember that I feel like there's a little bit of point chasing here.
Yeah.
Yes, he scored quite well. Sorry, I'm just jumping in, having a look at his stats. He scored 137 on the weekend, but he only scored 88 the weekend before.
Yeah. His
break even is 3, which is low, obviously. Yeah. But I don't know. It depends. I just don't know how you're getting him in. Like, he's at a very awkward price of 389, and he's not a sure scorer.
Well, he averaged last year 71.6. So, if you're going for guys in their third year, you'd want to be assured of at least a bit more security in terms of their ability to
and
score.
At that price.
Yeah, at that price, and on a consistent basis. Last year only scored 3, 4, 5 tons. And one of those games he kicked 4 goals, another one 2 goals, 2 goals. So a lot of his point generation is through goals kicked not necessarily sort of tap work or work in the ruck per se. So, yeah, for me, it's a no. I won't be getting him in. He's that awkward price point. So for me, it's a massive nah.
Yeah, same for me. I think he summed it up pretty well there. Now, the next guy traded in is Lachie Neale. I mean, I don't know why people don't have him. Start him.
If you don't, like we said during the preseason, and I don't know what you're doing, but you're obviously not tuning into our podcast, which you should be.
Too busy watching it.
I've sidetracked everyone. Everyone's like tuning into it now. But we said through the preseason, if you do not have Lachie Neale in your team, you might as well not play SuperCoach. I know that sounds harsh, but there's a reason we said it. And it's because of this. We could see this happening. The biggest value selection. Underpriced by about 120, 30, 50K or whatever it was. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Compared to the starting price from last year. And he's channeling his 2020 Brownlow medal form. Like, if you don't have him, get him in. Like, make him your number one trade from the get-go. Like, you don't stuff around. Get him in. Otherwise, delete your team.
Yep, he's a big for me too.
I'll throw this one to you, Liam, the next one.
Yeah, okay.
You ready to move on?
Yeah, I am.
Let's do it. Aaron Hall.
Yeah.
Would you get him in if you could?
If I could, I would. Yeah, if I trade out half my team, yes. No, so I probably wouldn't be able to get him in without really affecting my structure. But if you can get him in somehow, I like it. I like it a lot. But again, I just can't see. I can't see how people would be doing it. There's no injuries, unless you and
Whitfield.
Yeah, but you'd have to be downgrading. Like maybe if you were downgrading Whitfield to, if you're downgrading Tom Mitchell to Cripps, then maybe you'd have the cash.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But that I could accept. But that's where it's kind of tough. I don't see where you're pulling out 72K at this stage easily to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys that I wish I started with because I probably would have started with him over Crisp in all honesty, and it would have been in the same situation as what I am now, really. But I think, if you're looking to upgrade to anyone, whether it be this week or the coming weeks, for me anyway, personally, he's my number one trade-in option in defence, if you can afford him.
Yeah.
Because as we know, he's underpriced based on last year. He had a couple of games he was concussed, he went off injured, he was subbed, all that sort of stuff. So he is underpriced for what he's producing in terms of scoring. But yeah, it's for me in my situation, I'm gonna say a nah. But in that scenario that you just mentioned with trading a Mitchell down to Cripps and then using that dosh to upgrade a Whitfield to a Hall.
It's a double win.
Yeah, double win.
Double win.
Yep, for sure. Settle on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a nah for me because I can't do it. But it's a nah, if you had the ability to do it without compromising your team too much.
He's too much of a fantasy pig, like in terms of the guy. He's kind of eclipsed the Seagull at the moment, I reckon. Like the Seagull on the weekend, I think he only scored about 106
102,
memory.
Yeah.
102, yeah. So just not good enough. Whereas the ceiling of Hall, he is just an absolute pig at the trough, at the SuperCoach trough. So that kind of settles it. But let's move on to a guy who, mind you, Liam, this is a guy who, when I was trying to structure my team and find money to get in Berry, and I was left with, and I had Stevens on my bench as well. I had to get rid of him to afford it. But I had Brayshaw. He was one of the few options that I had. I had Tom Mitchell, Brayshaw. This is what spot was this? This would have been the 3, 4, 5. Would have been the 5th spot. So it would have been instead of Rail. But I had the cash to do it. And I'm like, you know what? Nah, stick by Rail, use the cash elsewhere, which I needed to do because of the defence. And I think I'd put it towards Crisp. But the only option was getting into Tom Mitchell or a Brayshaw. And I looked at Brayshaw and I was like, he's one guy that could really step up this year.
Is that age, isn't he?
He's just broken out completely. He's just complete. And I spoke of there with Hall being an absolute pig. Like Brayshaw is almost the new Tom Mitchell, but he's Tom Mitchell to another level because he is so effective with his possessions. Unlike Tom Mitchell, he can rack up the quick 1-2 handballs that don't really do too much. He's an AFL fantasy pig, but SuperCoach pig, not so much. Whereas Brayshaw, I think he could be the next generation of an out-and-out SuperCoach pig. He's just amazing. So, yeah, I think if you can, I would go a Nayer in this case. I'm a big believer. I actually love what I see with Brayshaw. He stepped it up. He's almost like what Walsh did last year for me. He's taken his game to another level, and he's the only real big banana there in Freo's midfield, and yet he doesn't get paid enough respect by opposition teams. So I don't know. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I'm undecided. I do think there's a lot of upside to him, and I do think he's sort of hitting that breakout sort of stage of his career, and I'm very excited to see it. I think his is a good option. I do like it. But I guess at his price point, would you rather go for him or would you rather go for a Cripps who is, over 100K cheaper?
Okay. Yeah. Compare the pair. See, you've thrown that up against me, Liam. I was staunch. I was, Brayshaw all the way. But I think, if you're comparing
that's where it's an issue for me. I mean, if you already had Cripps, then 100% bring in Brayshaw. Yeah. But if you had to bring in one or the other, I think I'd lean towards Cripps.
That does make sense. I mean, Brayshaw as well. I mean, I always say you can afford to wait, but with him, he's projected to go up 45.3K, which will have him around about the 630 mark or thereabouts. 620. So, I don't know. It's a bit of a hard one. I think you could probably afford to wait because Brayshaw, with his run of games, if he has a bit of a downer, his cash generation in this sense could stop and he may drop. So he's going to peak at some stage, but I think, it's hard.
At his price point, I
think you're right, though. I think
does come up against West Coast, depleted side.
I think I'd still go for Cripps.
Yeah,
I think because of that
agree.
saving and the cash, like that is at this stage of the season, it's more important to have that extra cash for early upgrades.
I think also Cripps is a bit more of a known quantity in that sense. Like that he's got the ability to do it.
And I think from memory in the past as well, Brayshaw, much like Parrish, the wilted flower, as I like to call him, because he does wilt under pressure. Brayshaw is another one that wilts when he does receive a hard tag. There is a couple of games there, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, where he actually just went to water and he's not used to it. But like on the weekend when the Saints didn't pay any respect to him at all, so many uncontested possessions, left to rack them up, he just did damage. So I guess that's the one big mark on his game is if teams start to pay him more attention, he may wilt. And that's where you might find that he'll start to drop in scores and in price. So you might be able to jump on him at a later stage. So that's what I'm hoping to do potentially off the back of this discussion.
The other thing to consider is the week after he plays West Coast, he comes up against GWS and is there the potential for a Matty De Boer tag?
Ooh, a tag, yeah. Exactly. Well, I don't know if De Boer's playing.
He played on the weekend.
Oh, did he?
I don't know if he's playing that tagging role. I mean, he played Richmond, so I didn't catch the game. Just food for thought. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in that case, you've talked me out of it, and I would be. Well, when you stack him up against Cripps,
I think if you had to choose between the two, I'd be going Cripps.
Yep, for sure.
Dylan Stephens. I'm going to chuck that one straight at you, Damon.
Dylan Stephens rounds out the list, doesn't he? Of the trade in and trade outs, all that. Yeah. I'm getting him in. So he's a big is a big trade him in because, I like what I saw over the preseason. The big query I had over him was his opportunity for minutes in the Swans midfield. It's pleasing to see, not so much for the man himself, but to see Josh Kennedy being played more up forward, spurts in the midfield. So there is opportunity there for him to play through the middle in Stevens. And I think he's shown the ability that he can rack up the ball, can score well enough to be a decent cash cow. I mean, he won't be on field for me because I've got, in terms of those two on-field rookies, obviously Horne-Francis and Dacos. But I think in terms of rookies that are sort of higher priced, compare him to a Ward, for example. I think he's about 13K or thereabouts cheaper than Ward. And he looks to be a, better scorer and maybe more on a more consistent basis. So for me, I'm trading out the deli meat, as I like to call him, Saligo, who unfortunately just won't make any cash. So that's just a pure out and out rookie correction trade. So I think a lot of people out there would be making it, and that's my one, I think, for season 2022. What about you, Liam?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think bringing him in's fine. I think I'm going to struggle to do it just because I think I'm going to be prioritizing other trades. If I had 4 trades, I'd be doing it. But with the 3, I think I'm going to prioritize others. I'm happy enough with Ward. I think he's got the potential for scoring, which I like. I don't have Soligo, so I'm not worried about him losing cash straight away.
Soligo.
But yeah, I'm going to go with, I think he's a I'm happy with that trade for most people. And I would probably be doing it if I wasn't making other trades.
Yep. That does make sense. Now, Liam, onto the big talking point of our bonus episode, and it is the discussion point of trading out Gawn. Is there merit to it? Who do you trade him to? There's so many things we need to unpack here. The money that you get from him, how can you make it worthwhile? Do you bank some of it just in case the ruckman that you're trading in doesn't come off?
Yep.
All that sort of hoopla. So where should we start? Let's just do it. First of all, is it a viable trade? Is it a viable option to do? Because the merit that I've heard, I had a couple of people message into us, ask directly, is it worthwhile doing? Because one person's justification was that it's a waste. Like they said, it's a waste to have that amount of money on field when they're not producing the scores that they bought them for, which is fair, I guess, in isolation.
I see that point, but continue.
But then also other people have said, well, I can trade them down to someone else and save cash without saying who they're trading them down to. And that's the big sticking point, I think, for myself, and I think for you as well, Liam, isn't it? Like, just in terms of, we discussed it off air, like, just sake of the argument, I click on Gawn to trade. The only options that appeal to me are literally Tim English and maybe Witts at a stretch. That's it. No one else. And I think, like, in terms of that, and as I sort of discussed last week as well, the one knock I have on Jared Witts, and you can check it historically as well up against his averages, he has a real limitation in going above scores of 100 most weeks. He did in round 1, and then I foreshadowed it and said round 2, he's probably more than likely going to have a score below 100, and he did. So that's probably one reason why I wouldn't go for him. Tim English, he's shown that he has taken another step in his game, which is awesome. And he actually did take it up to Gawn and both Jackson as well in round 1. So he's the only guy that I probably have confidence in getting. But having said that, I like to go by a full set of data from a previous season to say to me that, okay, I can have confidence in paying for this guy
as a primo,
knowing that he's going to produce premium scores. And I don't have that confidence yet in Tim English. It does, I guess, an advantage with English is the fact that he does have the ruck forward eligibility. But outside of that, there is no one else I would want to trade Gawn down to. So that's the first thing. I mean, for you, Liam, what are your thoughts?
It's the same thing for me. I just don't see who you're trading down to. I think, like, I'm looking at total points now. We've got Brodie Grundy in first spot, For rucks, then it's Luke Jackson, and that's only really propelled off the fact that he scored well on the weekend.
Yeah.
Like he scored an 88, I think, the week before, off memory. Not bad, but not great. You're basically getting the same output from Gawn.
Yeah.
And you're wasting a trade. So the issue for me is, I guess, it's the trades you're going to be using. You trade Gawn out because you don't want to have so much cash on your ruck line. So you do that. You then have to trade down to a Tim English, a Jared Witts, Luke Jackson, someone along those lines. But then you're most likely going to get Gawn back in. So you're using 2 trades on the same player. For a player that realistically, you're not trading in, like this is the thing with primos, you're not trading them in based off their cash generation skills. You're not trading them in. If they drop in cash, you don't care. That's fine. Yep. If it's their output that you're concerned about. Now, his output has been down, but I feel like we've discussed it as to why it's been down, and there's been reasons behind it that aren't a massive cause for concern. He's still getting the CBAs. That's the main thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Like just reading out one of the questions that got sent in. Hey boys, love your work. I've got a question for this week's pod that I need your sage advice for. So this bloke is Billy Higgins, who I actually used to work with, funnily enough, good bloke. But he's saying that with ruck scoring down across the board, that's sort of his justification through the first 2 rounds with the highest average, 112.5, and only 3 blokes clearing 103. Do we need to reevaluate the 2 keeper structure that most people run with? So I think he's thinking that it's like a
trend across.
Yeah, like the landscape
like a trend across
now.
across the ruck line, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that'll. Well, the fact that I think the Grundy, he's still averaging 112.5. The fact that he hasn't dropped in, I think that the main thing with Gawn, and I think it was late last year as well, as we saw, was Jackson is actually having a bit of an impact on Gawn. They're having to share the ruck duties from time to time, puts a dent in the scoring capacity of Gawn.
Yep.
But I don't know. I just don't see merit in doing it because, as you said, you're going to have to trade him out, then trade him back in. And the only reason you'd be trading him out is to a keeper. Because what a waste of 2 trades. If we're valuing trades at $150K valuation on a single trade.
Yeah.
If you're making that in a down trade to a Tim English, for example, okay, fair enough. But can you then say with confidence that Tim English is going to actually outscore Gawn over the course of the year? And if he's not, then you're going to have to trade Gawn back in. Say Gawn hits a purple patch again. What are you going to do then? Are you going to waste another trade? And it's virtually 150K down the gurgler because you've used 2 trades on the same person. The other thing for me, just off the back of that, is if you're trading Gawn down to another ruckman for the sole purpose of using that cash to upgrade to a primo elsewhere on your field, that says to me you're not going to be banking any of the money that you actually get from that Gawn trade. So say, for example, you trade him down to a Witts. And we said this as a devil's advocate in round 1, I think it was. If Witts goes down again, and knock on wood, that doesn't happen, but if Witts goes down and you've spent all the cash that you had generated from that trade down from Gawn to Witts, what are you going to do? You're stuffed. Like virtually your season is up the shitter off the back of that one move because who do you trade him to? Witts conceivably is going to go down in price. He's priced at 380 odd. I mean, geez, Reece Stanley's 100K more than Witts. So, that's sort of the caliber of the guys that are within reach.
Well, that's it. Like, I mean, looking at it, you've got CCJ from North Melbourne who's not even playing, who's just priced underneath him. So that's sort of the level that you're looking at in rucks.
Yeah. It's just too much of a risk because I see it happen every single year. And a lot of people did it with, what's his name? Plays for Sydney, did his knee multiple times. I keep thinking, not Hickey. Sorry, people are probably screaming out. Naismith, yes. People did that with Naismith where they traded a Gawn or a Grundy down to Naismith because they're like, quick cash grab. Naismith scoring just as well, if not better than a Gawn or a Grundy because they had slow starts to the year. Then he went and did his knee And they were absolutely cooked for the rest of the year because they had no one to trade them to. They didn't have any cash in the bank because they'd already used it. And they're stuck in a hole. So I think from a risk-reward perspective, even then, like the risk outweighs the reward because you're gambling on someone like a Witts, for example, that doesn't have real durability and his ceiling is capped in terms of his scoring. So the likelihood of him actually outscoring Gawn over the length of the season, not good at all. English, again, is the only other one, but still there's question marks over his ability to do it over the course of an entire season. But outside of him, there's no one else. Even Marshall had a down game on the weekend.
Yeah.
Didn't really have any competition. Ryder isn't playing. Had a down game. Hayes gave him a bit of a chop out in the ruck, but just had a shit one. So I think in terms of any discussion around Gawn, you've got to factor in who you're trading him to. Are they durable? Will they score as well as Gawn? Will they outscore him? And I think as a fail-safe, you'll need to put some of that money you generate back in the bank just in case something goes wrong, especially if you're going for someone like a Witts.
Yeah. And the same if you went down to, what's his name? Luke Jackson as well. Same issue. Exact same issue. And I think that's where it kind of lands, is that no one else is scoring well enough for it to be worth it.
I think just with English, I will say though, like I know that I've said that he's sort of questionable in the fact that I'm not sure he can do it over the course of a year, but you've got to remember as well that previous to this year, the big Tristan Martin was giving him a chop out in the ruck and he was kind of eating into his scoring potential. And now with Martin not being there, he has the number one ruck mantle outright. So I guess the scoring potential.
Martin's still there.
No, he hasn't been playing though.
Yeah, but there's, I guess, the concern that he's comes back.
Yeah.
And I don't trust Bevo. I never trust Bevo.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Yeah, never trust Bevo in terms of the way might throw bloody McRae back in the ruck again like he has at times.
Dunkley, get Dunkley back in there.
Yeah, get Dunks back in there. But yeah, that's the only positive I see in English in terms of his long-term
and I think that's fair.
potential. But outside of that, there is no one else I would want to trade down. And I'm staunchly against trading Uber Primos, and Gawn is an Uber Primo, despite the fact that, yes, in recent times, Jackson has
his
come
output,
in
and his output's down.
smashed him. Yeah, and it is.
But I think, as we kind of said, like last round, what did he score? Sorry, bear with me. Sorry.
You're looking at
so he scored, Gawn scored 92. Okay, so not great. But it was tempered by the fact that he had 6 frees against. On the weekend, it wasn't ideal conditions for a ruckman. Dewey is not going to be taking those marks that, are...
Turn the ball over as well.
Yeah.
5 clangers, I think, in total.
So that goes against him. So I'm not as concerned. I think it's not panic stations yet for someone like Gawn.
I think the sane explanation for this, and to sort of temper people's expectations, is the fact that since Jackson's come on the scene, I think now the days of Gawn scoring 160 plus in back-to-back weeks isn't a thing anymore. I think now we've got to temper expectations that if he scores a 120, 130, similar to like a Grundy, for example, then that's seen as a good week, as a really good week. And like he may have those games where he drops down to a 90 odd, or an 88 like he did on the weekend. But if you have a look at last year's run of form, like in his first few rounds of the season, he scored 93, 137, 163, 135, 172, 147. And then Jackson started to eat in, and it was around about after the midway point of the season. And Gawn had scores of 103, 100, 102, 95, 125, 138, 91, 100, and 159. So I reckon that run of form is probably more in line with what he's going to
what we're going to see. Yeah.
And getting back to that point, I don't think there's any other, probably including English as well. I don't see any other player that can score far and away more than what Gawn is at the moment. I mean, it's obviously just a prediction. We can't see into the future. Well, we can with our crystal ball, but
it doesn't work sometimes for rucks.
Yeah. It doesn't work all the time with rucks now. But I don't know. That's where I sit. And
no, I agree. I think I would just want to calm people down with Gawn a little bit. and maybe pull them back.
Temper those expectations, peeps.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
With that, I think that pretty much wraps us up for the bonus episode. Unless there's anything else we want to cover up, Liam.
No, that's it.
Yeah, let's hit the hay because it's getting late, I think, and both have to get up for work in the morning. That's right, folks. We didn't get paid for this. It's all for you. It's the passion. But yeah, that wraps us up, and hopefully you've enjoyed this bonus episode. We'll hopefully get around to doing it hopefully every week, if not bi-weekly. We'll see how we go in terms of our time and schedule and whatnot. But leave a comment below here on YouTube as whether or not you enjoyed it, and join in the discussion as well. If you agree or disagree, whether it's lightly or staunchly, get involved because we might even read out a couple of comments leading into, I guess, the next episode, the bonus ep.
Yeah,
but,
and bonus eps, Patreon.
Exactly. Go ahead. You do it. You do the honors.
I can't do the honors right now.
the brain
has really hit the wall. The truth.
Yes.
Hang on, let me do it. Yeah, so I guess you'll be able to access these lovely episodes through our Patreon. Hang on, sorry, I need to look at what level do you need to be?
Level 2, tier 2 or tier 3?
Cool.
Oh wait, no, tier 1. Tier 1 will be available to all of them.
Cool.
This is bonus content.
All right, let me do that again.
So let me say for as little as $5 a month.
Yes, Damon. So for as little as $5 a month, you can get access to it. You can get access to you, Damon. You can get access to our bonus content if you sign up for our Patreon. And there's tons of other benefits. For $5, you get access to our Discord. You get exclusive bonus content. For $10 a month, just $10, you, Damon, you can have access to Discord.
Yes, Discord.
The bonus episode.
Ooh,
and the live streams.
And the live streams. Oh, you've got me there. Jeez, I'm signing. Where can I sign
seriously. Just on www.patreon.com/SuperCoach Edge.
Very nice. I might have to jump on there and sign up. And for those of you out there as well, if you're keen, if you're enjoying this content and it's engaging, and we want to make it as engaging as we can. So check it out. Check out the Patreon. Join our Discord. It's a growing community, and it's almost like a family. I'm not going to call it a community. It's more like a family.
Yeah.
We always check in with each other, and they can throw any questions, comments, banter at us throughout the weekend as well as the week as well. So check that out. But thanks so much for tuning in, and I guess we'll catch you all in the next episode.
See you guys.